Hi, it's Todd Graham here, and we're sitting down talking about artificial intelligence with Gurmit Kaur. Gurmit Kaur works in the Shannon School of Business and has been doing research into the adoption of AI and maybe some of the best practices for people in the educational field. Good afternoon, Gurmit.
Good afternoon, Todd. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a nice fall so far. We've had some nice weather, and I guess we're getting ready to kind of move into the winter season, and students are getting ready, I guess, for their midterms coming up, and it's a good time.
Excellent.
So artificial intelligence, it's a hot topic these days, and I know that you've been doing some work in the field. It's rapidly encroaching on, I guess, the academic process, and there's been a lot of discussion among professors and students alike. Maybe you could give me a little background about your first experiences with artificial intelligence and how you decided to approach that.
Excellent. So thank you for the question, Todd. I would like to start by saying we all have been through this disruption since the advent of computers, right? So every 10 years, we see something coming that disrupts the way we work, the way we behave in the society, and the way technology is more focused or integrated into how we are performing today. I came across artificial intelligence 2 decades ago when I was working as an accountant. So right fresh after my graduation, accounting software was released, right? And so what do you see? I mean, I was like, will I be able to get a job? How will I even sustain, living in this time of disruption? But then when I embraced it slowly with the help of my managers, it helped me realize technology is only able to help me do my work in a productive manner. So there is a fine line between saying technology is going to take my work, or how can I actually integrate technology into my work and make it more productive for myself and the organization? And today where I stand here is last year, I was at summer school at Oxford University when I was studying relational life therapy. The professor said, you can use ChatGPT for your essay, and I don't mind you using it. And I was like, oh, wow, this is Oxford. And as a faculty here at Cape Breton University, I've always been telling my students to stay away from AI and use it only with my consultation. And this is the first day I ever stepped into Oxford University. And they are saying you can use ChatGPT. And that was self-reflection point about my stigma with AI. And that's where I started embracing AI when I came back, and I had this conversation with my other colleagues, and I had conversation with my dad, and I had conversation with the students, like, how can I embrace this and make it more conducive for all of us in this environment? And then I realized I lacked some expertise. So I went to Stanford University, did my business opportunities and of generative AI and understanding how can businesses adopt AI, just because I teach in the business department, and also in academic wise, like coming from Stanford, where are we leading with AI? And that was a great way of understanding what artificial intelligence can do for us in an ethical manner, I would say.
Okay. Well, you bring up a good point, and it's the attitudes or the perceptions of both, say, professors and students, academic staff, and other people that are in programs, and how they are perceiving this adoption of technology. As you said, this is not the first time we've had a technology change the way that we do things in business and in academic life and so forth. And in education, I remember looking at old video clips or film clips from when radio was introduced and how that was going to change education.
Exactly.
And then television was introduced, and that was going to change education. And then, of course, computers came along, and that was going to change education. And the whole time, we actually still kept lining up kids in rows and lecturing to them. So the process really never changed that much. But having said that, technology now has changed in that at one point, when we had the technological adoption of the new technology, it was more coming from, I call it the blue-collar workers. And the difference I see now is that we've got an artificial intelligence that actually can now tell its own stories.
Yep.
And it seems to be more threatening to what I'll call the white collar workers. And I think what I'm seeing is a lot of instructors and teachers and professors are seeing this as a challenge to their expertise, and some are adopting it, some are pushing back against it. So we've got a wide range of individuals within the university environment here, and a wide range of those kinds of reactions.
Right.
What would you say to a professor that was very wary of the adoption of AI? And to your point, a lot of students, first day of class now, they're told, be aware of AI, don't use it, don't cheat. Cheating and it's an issue. It really is. But it's not like we're going to put the genie back in the bottle.
No.
So what would you say to maybe a professor that is wary of this?
Yep.
How would you try to bring them back on side?
That's a very good question. And I was there. I was there in 2023, right? It's just when I started in academia and as a faculty, ChatGPT was released. One of my students stood up in class and I gave them reflection exercises. And he had the audacity to say to me, I'm using ChatGPT for assignment. And I was taken aback. I'm like, okay. It just came to me as very confrontational and also as a challenge to my own academic learning. How many years I've invested, like 20 plus years studying. Okay, I've been a lifelong learner, did my master's, triple master's as of now, a bachelor's, but then I never had this kind of capacity where things were easier for me. I always had to do the hard work. And now, this was a trigger to me. Are you challenging me, or am I questioning myself what I was taught is the right thing? It took me a couple of weeks to decide how I can let this person even talk to me about all this in front of the whole class, 60 students in class, and this person is challenging my integrity. This is how I felt. And then I had a moment of reflection after the semester, and then I realized things are changing, right? And why am I stopping myself not to accept it? It's just because I don't know. Just because I don't know, I say it's cheating. I don't know what the person wants out of this assignment, or I don't know what their workday looks like, right? Inflation is high. Even my local students are doing 2 jobs. So I need to understand what students are bringing. It's not like me as a fresher 2 decades ago going to a university with a clean slate of mind. Everything's taken care of. I'm just looking for a job. No. It's completely different. It's really challenging for them to sit in a class and not think about anything but just to do the assignment. So if we have that curiosity and if we have that beginner's mind in understanding what the student wants and how can I be this person who can guide the student to achieve what they need in keeping academic integrity intact, then why can't I adopt AI? That's what I would say first. And then also to reflect on why am I against this? It's not just plagiarism we are against. It's not just cut, copy, paste we are against. This has been happening with Grammarly, Quillbolt, any software that you see, student paper cheatings. Even Turnitin hasn't been so successful in the past, right? Students have been doing many things. But at this point, the challenge is, am I willing to learn?
So I'm going to pull out of that a couple of pieces. So I think what you've said at one point is there's, I'm going to say, fear of the unknown or fear of change.
Yes.
That's pushing some people to have an emotional reaction.
Yes.
That questions the value or the integrity of their own educational professional journey.
I've been there. Like I started at that point, right? I'm a change management agent myself, but this is something very big for all of us. We are all in this together. It's not saying that you are feeling one way, I'm feeling one way. No, we all felt that. We all felt cheated at one point. So once we realize why are we feeling this way and then adopting, how can we use it in an ethical manner, I would say that's what's going to cause that ripple effect or the change that students need. If you see Times report or if you see McLean's report, 76% of students were using ChatGPT last year. And honestly, I haven't used ChatGPT yet. I don't have an account. But what I use is Google's Gemini. And I started using that when it was launched this year. And so what I'm trying to say is there are many tools which we can embrace in an ethical manner. And like CBU's adoption of Copilot is one great example, how Copilot is available to us as faculty, to the staff at the university, and to students very soon. And in an ethical fashion or in a manner that is conducive in a learning environment, how can we embrace technology and make assignments, make more innovative, I would say, assessments so that students feel welcome to this environment. And also when they go out to get a job, they have AI literacy built with them. So they don't feel that what's the value that I got out of studying in a university for 4 years or a diploma for 2 years or a master program for 2 years if I don't have AI literacy at this point.
So you make some good points, but what would you say to, people that maybe have a bit of pushback against the adoption of artificial intelligence? Some of their concerns are real.
Yep.
Students that are using ChatGPT in order to wholly create a document and submit that as their own work, and fears of, I guess, cognitive issues.
Yep.
People that have probably not learned to study or learn or integrate what they're working with, what they're learning. So they've got cognitive development issues that are, so there's real concerns out there, and those need to be addressed as well.
Yep.
So what would you say, maybe if you were talking to someone that was an early adopter or keen on the technology, what might you caution them against?
Again, this is a broad question. If people are not embracing, they were like me in the beginning, I would only say, just give it a try. Give it a shot. There's no harm in doing it. Try it once, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. During the pandemic, we all were taking vaccines. Some of us did not choose to take it. It's our choice. I cannot force people. You cannot force people. We cannot say this is the right way to do it. But I would always encourage people to integrate it. If we are not integrating it, maybe we might not exist in the future.
Are there some things that you might specifically caution an instructor, professor about, though? And I'm thinking, I've looked at some recent studies that talk about studies that have been done comparing people or students that have learned, I guess, the old-fashioned rote way, using technology such as Google as a search engine, and then pushing through and using ChatGPT in order to complete, math assignments or whatever work. And they found that the next day, the students that had used ChatGPT exclusively had a very low level of retention of the material that they covered.
Of course.
Google in the middle.
Yep.
And of course the traditional rote way was sort of the baseline. So there are those concerns.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on those recent studies that are coming out?
For sure. So I'll raise the point, going back to your question again. 2 points that are standing out. When faculty are saying they're scared, I think this is the point where we should be confident in our skin and saying that we are expert in our knowledge now. Now, if you go to Google, it's going to give you some answers, but then your expertise is yours. And I think in the future, what I have been seeing, your expertise is going to be even more crucial to your success, because then as an academic or in working in field of academia, what is right and what is not right. Students don't have that. Even if they are a mature student, they don't know what is the right kind of knowledge that they are getting from here. So even that cut, copy, paste from ChatGPT, or if you're calling it Google Gemini or anywhere else, the resources, how do you trust the resources? So again, it goes back to ethical research that needs to be integrated in our curriculum for that holistic education. How do you research? Where do you find resources from? What kind of journal scholarly articles are you looking at? What is called a peer-reviewed article? Who's saying what? And just having that debate for analytical thinking in class is where I think our assignments need to be challenged. So it's not the old-fashioned way of doing assignments like I was in high school, but like my son the other day, grade 9, tells me, Mom, I just gave all these prompts to, he's using Gemini because his school gives GNSPS, right? So they give you, Gemini is already embedded in the system. He's like, I gave all these prompts, I elicited this assignment, but I feel so dumb, I didn't do anything, and it gave me all the answers. So what I'm using, like that cognitive flexibility, that's a big issue. It's a very big issue, and I'm concerned. I'm legitimately concerned at this point as a psychologist as well, because we are not using our brains. We haven't been using it to a full capacity since the advent of social media. That's taken away our, focal point. How do we focus on certain things? But on the other level as well, when you see an understanding of topic, or even if you're reading, the reading attention or reading span has gone very low. And this was even before AI. But with AI, it's like, I don't have to study. I think we need to challenge that. And we all will definitely come back better, shiner. And this is a bubble I think we are all in. But as long as we work together, we'll be fine.
You raise a good point in that this isn't the first new technology. And to a certain extent, I guess it has been a slippery slope. You mentioned social media as one of the slides on that. And I think we're demonstrably seeing some of the changes that social media are leading in society and academia. So it's very true. This is just another level of technology, and you mentioned it being a bubble. I always go back or reference comments about the telephone. One of the early comments was that the telephone was a wonderful invention, and every city is going to soon have one.
Yeah.
I think Bill Gates at one point in the 1980s said no computer is going to need more than 64K or something like that. So.
Yeah.
We have a disadvantage in that our viewpoint is based within our current frame, and we really don't know what's going to happen in the future.
That's right.
Historically, our best attempts at prognostication have really not gone that well. Things change and things develop, so we do know that is going to be the case. So we're at the very early days of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
There is a bit of a bubble.
Yep.
We don't know what we don't know.
Yep.
But we're still left to deal with the reality on the ground.
That's right.
So the reality on the ground, I think, from a lot of professors' point of view, or the first thing that I hear in talking to them is that they lament that cheating aspect.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few people so far, and of course doing these interviews and of course other discussions around the campus. And some of the professors are struggling, others are learning and adopting the challenge of, well, how do I work in this new environment? If I take as one of the problems, cheating,
Yeah.
academic dishonesty, what can we be doing in order to combat that one issue? If we take these piece by piece, we try to eat the elephant one bite at a time. Are there any tactics you might suggest to address that fear of academic plagiarism?
Sure. Thank you for those great points. So you also mentioned that Bill Gates said 64K rate for the computers, and now Mark Zuckerberg says we won't even need cell phones in the next 5 years. So who knows? Next time we are talking, we'll be talking with our frames. I have no idea what that looks like. Yeah. So coming to cheating, I frame it differently. I feel if we always put the blame on students, or if we are going to see them in a capacity where we are seeing them as cheaters, then no one's learning. We need to see them as learners. Let's call them young learners. Some are native learners, some are professional learners, some are ongoing learners, but everybody's learning. And if they're not learning, it's okay, that's their choice. So we lead them with their choice. But once a student is in your class, you see this person as a person who has potential. Then we go back and reflect, how can I make assignments that are more friendly with CBU's advent of Copilot? How can I make assignments where students go and find out resources, or they use it for generating an aspect of assignment where they are using it for brainstorming questions, or where they are comparing analysis, what they've learned in class versus what the Copilot is saying. Or I also am experimenting with my class where I am giving them an assignment where I ask them to do 4 to 5 forces in international business management, where they are going to come up with an analogy of what was their learning of not using AI for the certain part of assignment and using AI for certain other aspect of assignment. So what I'm saying is it's a lot of pain that we need to go through. It's not easy for any one of us. So if you're struggling, the struggle is real. I'm struggling too. I'm not an expert yet. On the other end, if you are thriving, well and good, help. That's how Maya and I are doing things, right? If we know better, we do better. We help each other. And if you're somewhere in the middle, then maybe we need some more learning. So invest in AI learning, I would say. Go. As a nonprofit chair for ION's Impact Organization Nova Scotia, one of the learning module that came to us as a treasurer was using AI for nonprofit fundraising, right? And I took it. It was pain point. It was summer holidays for me. I couldn't be with my son, but I did that because that's important for the community. That's important for our society that we are living in, how to use it in the right manner. If we are all just putting our policies or if you're putting our academic work through ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot, that's wrong. We shouldn't be doing it. We need to sanitize stuff. We need to understand how not to put our personal details there. But all that only comes from learning. If I sit here in fear, I don't think I can do that. So I need to acknowledge the fear. Yes, I am scared, but let me do it while I'm scared and then come out as a little bit of confident learner somewhere across the spectrum. I don't think any one of us can be an expert. Even the people who have built technology right now are saying what went wrong. We don't know what went wrong yet, right? So everyone's experimenting with it. Let's experiment with it. So like if you're a chemistry student, not all experiments will end up in success. There'll be some failures along the way. Like if we go back to electricity, what happened? How did we invent the light bulb? It took like 100 failed experiments. So that's where university is so welcoming. It's innovative, and it lets us do things as faculty, and I appreciate that.
So students are learning, professors are learning.
Yep.
We're in a whole new world.
Yep.
You've had the chance to study this and sort of work through some of your own issues.
Yep.
Do you have any tactics, any resources that you might be able to pass along, and some advice you might be able to give other professors when they're climbing that AI mountain?
I'm a learner first, so from that perspective, I would say just be curious, be open-minded. Don't be scared. If things go wrong, people are there to help you. Reach out for help and ask people. So when we have our department meetings, I encourage the department chair or somebody from the department to just talk about what they learned in the last couple weeks that they were away, and what was that one factor that ignited the spark in them, and they're like, hey, this is really cool, this is really nice, maybe students will learn. I really had a great time devising an assignment. So the conversation needs to be around what is something that's working for me in my department that can help you, and this is how we learn from each other, A, and B, just devoting 15 to 20 minutes, I would say, every alternate day, or maybe a Wednesday lunch. I'll take a Wednesday lunch an hour and devote it to AI learning and see what's happening there, what's coming new. For example, like when I was doing that AI workshop for university teaching program, things changed until I was doing for Shannon School of Business. And now Perplexity has a Comet browser out. Will I use the Comet browser redundantly? I don't think so. I will only use it when it's important, and it's going to give me, it's going to fulfill the purpose that I'm asking questions for. Why? Because again, it's burning electricity, right? So I need to be cognizant of the fact when I'm using this technology. But as I talk to you, Google's Chrome is embedded AI. So I don't think any one of us can win here. It's just like that tricky situation where you want to be a part of it, destruction, if you call it, or if you don't want to be a part, but you have no choice. At this point, the big four technology giants haven't left us with any choice but than to integrate it. This is what I would say. For example, the other day I was using Microsoft Copilot, and then you have also other aspects of Microsoft where I was able to book my conference tickets just using bookings.com or anything. AI was doing that efficiently for me, and I saved 2 hours.
So you brought up a couple of examples. Are there any, I'm trying to think of what might be some of your favorite AI tools or AI uses that you've run across so far?
I really like Perplexity's academic research. So if you go to Perplexity, and use the Comet browser. And then you had Sonnet there, and then you had Claude. I really like Claude for academic rigor. And Google's Gemini Gem is my pet peeve. I really enjoy using my Gem. It's like my digital twin. It knows my research background. It understands my day-to-day job as a faculty. It also understands my consulting work and counseling work. So my twin helps me to write a lot of proposals and stuff, which I can, alter it based on the audience. Okay. But that's been really helpful. And with Microsoft's Copilot, designing assignments which are AI-friendly and devoid of AI, and using for quizzes, and also using Copilot for summarizing emails. That's been a life changer. I think a couple of weeks ago, we were able to use that in our CBU Microsoft cohort. And when I'm teaching capstone projects this year, so there were a lot of projects that I need to go through. And when I just was like, hey, can you read this and give me some question answers? Like, what can I tweak here? And it gave me some questions, but I would say not everything was right. So again, you needing your expertise, your understanding as an academic professional is always going to rule over AI.
You mentioned Gemini Twin. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe you could unpack that a little more for me.
Okay, so Google's CEO, I don't get his name right now, but it'll come to me. Google's CEO is from south of India, and I've always been fascinated with this guy, the great work that he's been doing. And he started Google, I would say Gmail. He started Gmail. And how did he start Gmail? This is a great story. I always tell my students in organizational behavior class, it was all because of an experiment at Google. Because Google gives you Fridays, every Friday, they can take certain time off and experiment with technology the way they want to. So that brings out innovation. And that's how Gmail came into picture. And okay, so his name is Sundar Pichai. It came to me, Sundar Pichai. And so I was always looking into this guy and like, how does he do it? Like, what is the psychology behind him? Like, these are the questions I approach his worldview. But what Google has done, I don't think anybody has done so far. And I can be biased here, and I'm completely being biased if I'm honest here, just because I like his approach towards technology. No doubt he has done, or Google has done, or made a lot of mistakes for sure, but that's a different issue. We're not dealing with that. When Google was saying, I'm working on making AI efficient for everyone's use, and I was glued to it, and I was like, okay, what's happening next? What's happening next? And I was reading news every day. Suddenly they're like, oh, so Gemini is alive. And when I was researching for Gemini, I also learned how he trained AI models. He went to rural towns in Asia. He went to rural towns in Europe to train and transcribe AI, and they're still doing it today. I haven't heard of any other organization do that, how Google has been doing it. So I was like, this is so inclusive and this is so multicultural that every person who's coming to Canada can use it efficiently, right? And so when Gemini was released, very soon they offered their own agents. So I did not use ChatGPT like I was telling you. You can create an agent there. But in Gemini, you create your agent and you can give your persona, who you are, what you do, what your day-to-day looks like, and what is your service to the community or organization or in a society where you live. Once you create that, and then you can just say, hey, I'm going on this conference, give me a 2-pager document, or what can I speak based on my background? And the audience ages maybe 16 to 24, who are tech savvy, who prefer social media. Their attention span is 15 to 20 minutes. And also this needs to be thought-provoking. So the more prompts you give it, after that persona, the better your output is. And so now I have this output. I just need to cut, copy, paste it in my Word document. So imagine how much time I saved, right? And now I'm going to reframe it based on my style. And so this work would have costed me around 10 hours of my time. And now it's only taking me 2 hours to do it. That's where productivity is helping us in terms of striking that work-life integration that I always say, because as a human, the only thing that's finite is our time.
So with Gemini Twin, I think I picked out there that you're giving it some background information, basically building a description of your experiences, the things you like, the approaches that you like to take, and that is factored into all the subsequent queries that you make and all the subsequent sort of requests that you make?
Yeah, and it also takes into account, so I have to say I'm a woman. I'm not saying my name. That's okay if I don't say my name, but I need to say I'm a woman and my age is so and this is how I communicate with everyone and this is what I do for a day-to-day, and give every detail that you want yourself to be seen there. And once you have that, it's like creating a clone. How do you create your clone? And predominantly, that's been a life changer for me. I have done so much of academic reference letters with it. So one of my students even got into, he was the convocation valedictorian as well. I used it then too. So I'm not saying you're copying or pasting everything from there, but it's all on your prompts, your persona, and then improvising on it. So again, you need your expertise for that. Yep. And that expertise only comes with practice. And that practice takes time and also needs some, cognitive restructuring that, hey, I'm going to do it maybe for 15 minutes. Trust me, Todd, it was not easy. It is time sensitive, time consuming. But once you do it, within 2 or 3 months, you realize I can do it.
So looking at our responsibilities as an academic institution, I think it's fair to say that we owe our greatest debt and most consideration to the students that are enrolled.
Yeah.
And they're trusting us to be able to guide them through this portion of their education and into their early careers. So we kind of have a responsibility to sort of be aware of these changes in technology and changes in the workplace in order to future-proof them as much as possible. Give them a start on this career. So I think it's pretty obvious that we're seeing rapid AI adoption in most industries. From an academic point of view, universities are struggling with the new technology.
Yep.
There's issues with plagiarism.
Yep.
Issues with the learning curve that staff and academic and administrative have to get on top of this. And ultimately, I think what we'd like to make sure is that we are at least relevant, if not leaders, in the field of adopting artificial intelligence in whatever field we happen to be, whatever area of study we happen to be working in. From an institutional perspective, is there anything that you think that the university should set as a priority, or something that the university should do in order to move us along this learning curve as quickly, as sure-footedly as possible? Anything that you might, if you were to sit down with some of the leaders in the university, what kind of advice might you give them?
So I've been a board of director for Cape Breton University Alumni Association for 3.5 years. And I know President Ingwell is big with change management. He embraces change really well. And with my dean, John Nadeau, at Shannon School of Business, even he's been friendly with change management. If I had to sit with other folks in the university, even when I attended Dean Andy Purby's, student panel discussion with Associate Dean Sarah McRae, all these folks are realizing the challenges, concerns, and also they have this openness to experience. So if we have that openness to experience, and if we are, I don't think we should do anything fast, but I think we are also a little bit behind compared to other universities. So Oxford University became the first university in the United Kingdom just in 2025 of September to release chatgpt.edu to the entire staff, faculty, and students. Like thousands of people are using it at Oxford. I would say we can just learn from other universities what they're doing. Like University of Waterloo is big with change, and when it comes to AI adoption, Dallas has been a little bit progressive when it comes to AI adoption. If I have to say anything, I would just say you are in charge of giving students a life out of university, and students are asking for implementation in an ethical way. If you ask students, do you want to cheat? Nobody wants to cheat, but they don't know if this means cheating. That is what we need to encourage. Okay, this is how you use it, and this is where you don't use it. Don't give your personal information. Don't put everything that's outside. And this is very sensitive data that you have, that you have access to it. So are we scared to give everything to them? Yes, of course we are. Because we all are learning in this together. But once institution has our own AI subset in place, I think that's where we can do a lot better. So like Copilot's license is just one step. I would see Cape Breton University's agent there. And then all schools having their agents, Shannon School of Business having their own agent, AI agent, School of Education having their own AI agent. Then what will happen is we are using an institution-wide agent that's available, that's resourceful, and then we are making all the ethical considerations while we are using this kind of an agent embedded in an organizational or institutional level. So then we are honest to our academic integrity.
So I like that you brought up agents. A lot of work has been done in building agents for organizations, academically and in the business world. Maybe unpack what an agent for CBU might look like.
That's a good question. An agent for AI for CBU, for basic example, would look like, so a student missed their class today. Okay, can this agent give them a description of what happened in the classroom? Okay, a student missed an assignment. So many times they come to us, can you repeat this? Which is even time consuming for us as faculty because you need to be available outside your class hours. Sometimes you have to go to a research conference. Sometimes you're working with your other colleagues on some other project. So can this agent, just give them a gist of what they need to do in this assignment? If you see Simon Fraser University, there is a professor who's bought a robot in class, and he's doing a great experiment. Even academics in US are looking up to him and how he's going to use this assistant as a teaching agent in classroom environment. So I'm also looking forward to what that research gives us, a guidance in using agents in classroom. But simple things like, where do I find resources in Moodle? Where can I study? Or what are the things that I missed in class today? Or if I was sick, then what else can I do besides if I'm sitting at home? How can I read something better? And if you're looking at institutional level, I want to come to CBU, but are there any specific requirements I need to be aware of, knowing that I still have 3 transferable credits? Or that some part of academic advising with robotic invention will be really well taken care of, especially if they are not here or if they are not present on that day or premises, or sometimes outside the working hours. When do students use the phone most? In the night. When are they active mostly for social media? If you see algorithmic wise, it's in the night. So are we capturing the night? Can university function in the night? I would argue we are human beings. We have our own, bubble that we live in. I don't think we are going to be sitting here 24/7. So that is where technology will help us. Having those podcasts available for students in the night. That's how we can adopt. That's my point of view.
I think you pull out an interesting phenomena. We have a 24/7, always on lifestyle culture. If you want a hamburger at 3 o'clock in the morning, you get a hamburger at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you want DoorDash to arrive at your door, DoorDash arrives at your door.
Yeah.
And academically, maybe it's fair to say that academic institutions are a little bit slower to move, and there's probably some wisdom in that caution.
Definitely.
But at the same time, we've got a customer, a student, who's accustomed to certain levels of service just based on their life experience and the other things that they consume within their lifestyle. So this idea of moving towards more round-the-clock availability of interaction with the university is an area that we could look at. And you've mentioned perhaps in resources for administration, signing up for programs, getting information on course credits and things like that.
And in classroom too.
So what about, that's where I wanted to go. What about individual professors? Is there a path there at this point where a proactive professor, something you might direct them towards if they have an interest in finding out more about developing artificial intelligence resources or agents? Is there anything that you might suggest to them?
So at this point, even I'm waiting for CBU's AI policy to come out front, just because I'm a big fan of policy, institutionally and organically. If we have a policy, then we are on the same page. I don't want to put anything at risk. So I'm waiting for the policy to come out so then I can speak to students about agents. But this year, instead of giving them an academic integrity test, I gave them an AI integrity test. And that was a big subject of discussion in the classroom. And I made this AI PowerPoint using, you're doing vibe coding right now, right? So I did this using vibe coding. And how did I learn vibe coding? Is through Pearson's AI academic journey they released this year. So that was a 4-part series, and all our academics from the world, every webinar was attended by 1,000+ faculty members across the world. It's not just America or Asia or Europe. It was across the world, Australia. And now I adopted that, and it's like for the first time in the classroom, I felt a bit of power after a year and a half, just because we were not talking about it, right? This was my learning this year from the student panel discussion at university teaching program too. If one of the students also is a teacher, she just graduated from the B.Ed program, and she mentioned, if you don't tell us how to use it, how are we going to use it in the right manner? And so this is where students want us to be transparent, to come out and say when you're using it. And so when I made this using vibe coding, I was transparent about it. So we need to be transparent with our students in the classroom where we are using AI and how we used it and how can they use it for their own betterment. Why not? I'm also using one such thing. It's called, it's just not coming to my mind. We spoke a lot about AI today. I think it's Google's, where do we go for, we are making those assessments, and then it gives you, if I upload a document, it gives me a summary. What is it called? Do you remember that from Google?
No, I don't off the top of my head.
That's okay. So that's actually helping students a lot. It gives them a mind map. It helps them understand the topic better. So if a student has a learning disability and if they want this to be read to them in a form of a podcast, then it actually makes a podcast out of a journal article. So I'm really seeing positive strength there, and students are enjoying doing this. So now what I do is when I give them a case study, I'm like, let's put it there, see what comes out of it, and you give an understanding, given what we have studied in class, does this relate to what we are saying? Or if you have a better output, critique on that. Why do you think so? And students are actually enjoying it. They're like, we are doing more work now. Because now you're applying knowledge, what you're learning in class. You're using technology as a tool, but also then you're critiquing it. And so I think we need to learn how to do that.
Yeah. The benefits are there. I think a lot of us at the university have at the very least been able to dip our toe in the water. And most of us have seen some benefits. I think the opportunities for growth and development and learning are there, but the students have to be aware of how to control and manage their own lifelong learning process and their adoption and interaction with AI. Is there anything in the end, as we wrap this up, that you'd like to pass along as advice to students in particular?
Sure, thank you. It was called Notebook LM, Google's Notebook LM.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's my decaffeinated brain. Okay, so for students, I would say I'm a lifelong learner. If you are passionate and if you're hungry for education, then university is the place to be. But if you're coming with the mindset, I'm going to cheat and pass through, trust me, we as professors know better. And I think somewhere we are true to our academic world that we live in. So it's not going to be justful for you and us both. And as a student, I would say, come talk to us. If you don't understand, ask us more questions. Have that openness to responses when we ask questions in class. Just raise your voice and say, this is how you want to do it. And we all we are always welcoming your thoughts and suggestions and also embracing where you are. We want to meet you where you are in your journey and not be that person who's bearing the torchlight and guiding you. No, sometimes you know more than us. You can be an expert and teaching us as well. I'm so open to learning from you. If you know better, teach me. Yeah, so instead of that classroom environment where we are saying it's the power dynamics, I would say let's come together as a community when it comes to AI, where everyone's learning from everyone, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher, or because you're more tech savvy. They are more tech savvy than us, right? They've been using social media for an N number of years now since it started. And so I'm more than happy to support you.
Gurmit, thank you very much. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you, Todd. Nice to be here. Thanks.